A true national tragedy. Chief of Defence Staff General Bipin Rawat, his wife Mrs. Madhulika Rawat and 11 others have lost their lives in a tragic helicopter crash in Kunur in the Nilgiri mountains of Tamil Nadu earlier today. General Bipin Rawat, the country's top military officer, was known as being a strong-headed army man who never shied away from making a bold statement. From calling out Pakistan's hypocrisy in sponsoring terror to calling out China's territorial aggression. General Bipin Rawat called a spade a spade. He got into trouble sometimes for it, but he never shied away from speaking his mind. Here's a report on a few of his strongest statements, and this was signature Bipin Rawat.
A tall leader, a counter-insurgency expert, and a fiery personality. Chief of Defence Staff General Bipin Singh Rawat never minced words when it came to India's hostile neighbours. From the day he took over as the Chief of Army, General Rawat made it known India was capable of countering any threat.
हमारी जो सेना है, हम अमन और शांति चाहते हैं, लेकिन अमन और शांति का मकसद ये नहीं है कि हम कमजोर हैं। हम हर तरफ से काबिल हैं, ताकतवर हैं, और अगर जरूरत आई तो हम किसी भी तरह से ताकत इस्तेमाल करने में पीछे नहीं हटेंगे।
Taking over as the Chief of Army Staff at a time when Chinese incursions were becoming more frequent, General Rawat did not hold back from voicing the Indian Army's decades-old demand for new weaponry.
People who are deeply committed into the conduct of counter-proxy, counter-terrorism, counter-insurgencies are empowered and enabled. The soldier on the ground, the person with the boots on the ground, has to be provided weapons that give him the lethality to take action.
The most testing time for General Rawat was Doklam standoff at India's tri-junction border with Bhutan and China.
Our troops on the border should not feel that it cannot happen again or it cannot happen in another sector again. So what I was trying to say is that it is always better to remain prepared and alert than think that these things will not happen. So my message to my people is that remain prepared, it can happen again.
The incident solidified General Rawat's belief that China and not Pakistan was India's biggest security threat in the region. Something he reiterated during his stint as India's first Chief of Defence Staff.
We have our border management protocols which have been signed between us and China right from 1993 onwards, and we have modified the protocols continuously. But of late we have been seeing some aggressive actions by the Chinese, but we are capable of handling these in the best suitable way. We have our tri-services, that is the Army, Navy and Air Force, capable of dealing with our threats along our frontiers.
General Rawat called a spade when it came to Pakistan's duplicity on terror.
These surgical strikes were a message that we had communicated, and that if required and if the adversary does not behave, then if we have to continue with these kind of activities and events, we will continue. But there are other ways of doing these things also. It did not take the same form.
He also proclaimed that the influx of Bangladeshi migration was not total arbitrary, but a partial result of Pakistan's proxy warfare.
A planned immigration that is taking place because of our western neighbor. They will always try and ensure that this area is taken over through playing the proxy dimension of warfare. You don't have to confront a stronger nation through conventional operations. So you play a proxy game.
A general who spoke his mind. General Rawat quoted some controversies, but gave the forces a new direction.
One of the most watched interactions that the Chief of Defence Staff Bipin Rawat has ever had in his tenure as Chief of Defence Staff was right here on India Today during a conclave in July 2021. Listen in.
Theatre commands, the biggest reforms in Indian military history. Are all stakeholders on board? Joining me on this special broadcast, General Bipin Rawat, Chief of Defence Staff, leading the charge on setting up theatre commands. General, many thanks for speaking to us here on India Today. General, how many theatre commands are coming up, and where does Northern Command that defends India's borders against both China and Pakistan fit into the new scheme of things, General?
Well, we are considering national security as one issue which we must address. And therefore, one of the commands is looking at the management of the airspace above land. And therefore, we intend creating an air defense command which will be responsible for all the things that use the airspace, whether it is aircraft, whether it is helicopters, drones, UAVs. You have artillery weapon systems that use the airspace, where a shell fired from an artillery gun and landing at almost 40 to 50 kilometer range can go as high as 15 kilometers in the air. There are missiles which are going to be using the airspace. Therefore, I think there is a need to coordinate anything that uses the airspace, because you cannot afford to have fratricide.
Okay.
We have just seen one issue where a drone has come into one of our air bases and caused some disruption to us. Now, all this to be avoided, there is a need to integrate the airspace under one unified command. And therefore, we will be going in for creation of an air defense command where one commander will be responsible for ensuring the entire management of the airspace above. With this, we also find that we have a very large Indian Ocean region where the emerging threats we can see coming day after day and day by day. Now, these need to be dealt with. And therefore, we are looking at creating a maritime theatre command which will be responsible for the security and safety of anything that happens in the Indian Ocean region, including our island territories on the east and the west coast. You will see that the Indian Ocean has vast resources, which if we do not take care of now, will be exploited by other nations which keep entering into this area. At the same time, there is a need to ensure that we protect our coastline from any threats that are likely to emerge. We have a large number of organizations responsible for coastal security. We have the State Coastal Police, you have the Coast Guard, and then you have the Indian Navy. You have the fishermen who are operating, who also work as your eyes and ears. Therefore, to coordinate everything that happens, whether it's the Ministry of Shipping, Hydrography, you need one agency to coordinate all that.
Okay.
And therefore, we intend creating a National Maritime Command. Then along with this, of course, you have an adversary on the west and the adversary on the north or the east. Now, we want to create two separate commands, theatres, which will be responsible for taking on the western adversary or the northern adversary. Now, of course, we are concerned about two-front war, but should a two-front war be thrust upon us, we will be deciding on the primary front and the secondary front, depending on where the larger threat emerges. So based on that, resource allocation ab initio will be catered for ensuring credible defense that we need to have. But at the same time, resources from one theatre can be made available to another theatre, depending on whichever is your primary front. So therefore, we intend creating two fronts, one on the west and one on the north.
Now, what happens to the Northern Command, sir?
Yeah, coming especially to the Northern Command, if you see, Northern Command today is undergoing a different kind of a situation. We have the terrorism and insurgency which is going on there. The Northern Command is one command which looks after both the fronts, that is the China front in Ladakh and the Northern front in the Kargil sector. Now, this is one area which would actually witness a two-front war. And then you have a unified command headquarters which is functioning very well, which is ensuring stability in the internal security in Jammu and Kashmir, which, if you can see, is gradually improving day after day. But the fact that the situation improving does not mean that the situation again cannot turn ugly. We have seen this emergence of this situation, the way it is now emerging, going into I would say, some kind of semblance of peace emerging in Jammu and Kashmir. It can again turn ugly depending on what action is initiated by our Western adversary. Therefore, we have to be careful and not let our guard down and we do not want to disrupt the existing organizational structure of Northern Command. Therefore, Northern Command, for the time being, will remain as a command, while we will have two theatres on the east and north, and then on the western side.
General, you've spoken of the need for a distinct command structure and tri-services cooperation. But is this actually happening on ground? There are reports that the Indian Air Force has serious reservations and is insisting on one nation, one theatre.
As I said, as far as the Indian Air Force is concerned, yes, the entire airspace of the nation will be looked after by one Air Defence Command. So we are creating one Air Defence Command which will look after the entire nation's airspace. But what we are looking at is, because you have a Western theatre and a Northern theatre, one dealing with our northern adversary, one dealing with our western adversary, and we are creating land-based theatres for them. The reason is, Air Force is not just responsible for air defence, it has got other charters. It has got a charter of providing close air support to the land forces when they undertake operations, and for offensive air support in case you go into the adversary's territory. Same thing when the Navy is operating at sea. The naval ships or the naval armada that operates on the sea also requires some air support in support of the naval armada. So therefore, in addition to the air defense, you are also responsible for carrying out close air support and offensive air support. Now you need some kind of a air component commander advising the theatre commanders. So all that we are saying is that there will be air components commanders who will be advisors to the Western theatre and the Northern theatre, while the air defense management will be done by one entity as is being done today. But you have to have air component commanders for advising the theatre commanders. Even today, the Air Force, the entire resources of the Air Force are not controlled by one agency. They have got 5 operational commands where the entire resources of the Air Force are distributed. So even today, the Air Force assets are distributed. So we do not understand, in case an AD command is created, will all these air assets go under one commander? I don't think that is going to happen. They are not going to collapse their existing commands. If that is the thought process, then they can come forth and say, we intend to collapse our 5 operational commands and we will have only one command. Then I think we need to address the entire issue from a different perspective.
Okay, because some of the reservations from Air Force perhaps is that they are seen, or they see that the army looks at them as perhaps just air artillery and not the lead offensive force in future combat. Another criticism coming your way, General, is that, is there an August 15 deadline? Have milestones been set for 2021, 2022 and 2023? Because some in the Indian Air Force argue, General, that this is perhaps forcing impractical deadlines down their throats.
The issue of integration and jointness is not new. It started with the Kargil Review Committee because we saw what happened in Kargil in the manner in which the Army and the Air Forces operated. I think it was at that time it was realized that we need to integrate. And that is why the CDS came in. Now, CDS has not come in as one more entity to give you a fourth 4-star general. CDS means Chief of Defence Staff. Let me assure you that all the commanders are staff officers in Army headquarters, whether it is the Chief of the Air Staff, Naval Staff, or the Air Force. They are all staff officers, so is the CDS. The battles are fought by theatre commanders, as they were done in 71 war. If you look at the 71 war, the Eastern theatre was being controlled by General Jagjit Singh Arora with his Air Force and Naval Component Commander, and the Western theatre under General Cadet with his Air Force and Naval Component Commander. Yet, relocation of assets were taking place from the east to the west. As the Air Force of the East Pakistan and now Bangladesh was completely defeated, air assets from the Eastern theatre were relocated and moved to the Western theatre. So this kind of a dynamic change does happen. Air Force is required to provide support to the ground forces. Do not forget that Air Force continues to remain a supporting arm to the armed forces, just as the artillery supports or the engineer support the combatant arms in the army.
Okay.
So they will be a supporting arm, but they have a charter. They have an air defense charter and supporting the ground forces in times of operations. This is the basic charter which they have to understand.
You know, Gaurav, that brief chunk from that absolutely explosive viral conversation that you had with General Bipin Rawat from earlier this year, it captures so amazingly how deeply involved General Bipin Rawat was in his work, how passionately he felt about theaterization, how difficult the job was. You know, he did not make it sound easy. He knew that many of the decisions he was making, were going to be like pulling teeth. They were difficult, trying to juggle the three armed forces. But he was one who was committed to an optimized and lethal military that was unified in every sense. And your conversation with him really showed that, Gaurav.
It indeed was, Shiv. He was a man, he had a mission. He had been tasked by Prime Minister Narendra Modi to fulfill the task of theaterization, and he wanted to achieve it, but he wanted to achieve it taking everyone on board. He said, this is what is our end goal. Let us all put our heads together. Come with all your problems. Let's thrash all those problems together and let's find a solution, but let's do it in a time-bound manner for a better India. The ultimate aim was that whether it's the assets of the army, the navy, the air force, they need to come together to provide and protect India better. There cannot be any turfs, and there cannot be turf wars within the armed forces, and you know that term better than anyone else, Shiv, how turfs are protected. Otherwise, whether it's the veterans or the youngsters, they say you've let the service down. He said, think beyond, think India first. That was his mission till the very end, Shiv.
It was his mission to the very end. And, what was his last mission before he died, Gaurav? He was on his way to the Defence Services Staff College to speak to young upcoming officers who had been handpicked for greater responsibilities, in the defence structure. So this was a man who was committed to India's military, and the Defence Services Staff College is a tri-services institution for officers from the Army, Navy and Air Force, and there are many officers who come in from abroad and who are there. And just as an example of the kind of appeal that General Bipin Rawat had, the Israeli ambassador to India has changed it's a small gesture, but it just shows you the symbolism. The Israeli ambassador to India has changed his Twitter profile picture from his own picture to that of General Bipin Rawat. Just a small gesture that shows you the kind of appeal and respect this man commanded, not just in India, but across the world, diplomatically, militarily, and otherwise. He dedicated 43 years of his life to the Indian Army. Grit, determination, conflict, counterinsurgency, near-death experiences, diligence, they were all in his blood. General Bipin Rawat was among India's tallest armed forces chiefs. He was appointed as India's first Chief of Defence Staff for a very good reason, because he was a man who had seen battle, a man who had commanded battle, a man who had served in conflict operations in other countries, and a man who knew what it was like to put your life on the line. A post was made to house him as the Chief of Defence Staff to create better coordination and create better national security for this country, and it was something he was steeped in till his dying breath.
Vast experience in high-altitude warfare. An expert in counterinsurgency operations. He dedicated 43 years of his life to his motherland. General Bipin Rawat was among India's tallest defence chiefs. An alumnus of the National Defence Academy and the Indian Military Academy, General Rawat was commissioned into the 5th Battalion of 11 Gorkha Rifles of the Indian Army in December 1978. But General Rawat learnt his first lessons in defending his country much earlier, from none other than his father, Lieutenant General Lakshman Singh Rawat, who had served in the same unit, 11 Gorkha Rifles. During the 4-decade-long service, General Bipin Rawat held multiple positions. General Rawat was also part of a United Nations peacekeeping force. His tenure as Deputy Chief of Army saw the Indian Army launch surgical strikes on terror launch pads deep inside the Pakistan-occupied Kashmir.
These surgical strikes were a message that we had communicated, and that if required, and if the adversary does not behave, then if we have to continue with these kind of activities and events, we will continue. But there are other ways of doing these things also. It did not take the same form.
General Rawat was the fourth officer from the Gorkha Rifles to become the Chief of Army Staff on 31st December 2016. 3 years later, in 2019, General Bipin Rawat was appointed as India's first Chief of Defence Staff. The post, which was recommended after the Kargil War for better coordination between the Army, Navy and Air Force.
तीनों सर्विसेज जो हैं उसका 1+1+1 का जो जोड़ आता है उसको 3 नहीं बनाना है, उसको 5 या 7 बनाना है. तो यू हैव टू अचीव मोर थ्रू सिनर्जी एंड इंटीग्रेशन. ये मकसद है जो सीडीएस को जिस तरह से टास्क दिया गया है.
During his service, General Rawat has been decorated with multiple medals for his grit and valor. It included the Param Vishisht Seva Medal, Uttam Yudh Seva Medal, Ati Vishisht Seva Medal, Vishisht Seva Medal and Sena Medal. General Bipin Rawat's death comes as a huge blow to India and the armed forces.
The sole survivor of today's horrific military helicopter accident that has taken the life of Chief of Defence Staff, his wife Mrs. Madhulika Rawat and 11 others. The sole survivor of that crash is Indian Air Force officer and pilot Group Captain Varun Singh. He wasn't the pilot of this particular helicopter flight, but he is a pilot by training. He has suffered some injuries and is currently undergoing treatment at the military hospital in Wellington, where this helicopter was headed. Group Captain Varun Singh was conferred with a Shaurya Chakra earlier this year in January. That's India's third highest peacetime gallantry medal. He had been bestowed with a Shaurya Chakra earlier this year for saving a fighter jet during a mid-air emergency in 2020. We at India Today are praying along with his family, his unit, his admirers and friends for his speedy recovery. He's the only person who has survived. He is directing staff at the Defence Services Staff College in Wellington, and he was escorting General Bipin Rawat and his team from Sulur to Wellington, where the general was to deliver a lecture. Sadly, that lecture will never be delivered. Group Captain Varun Singh is now fighting for his life. He's sustained injuries in a crash that has taken the lives of all of the other 13 persons who were on board that helicopter. So our prayers very deeply for Group Captain Varun Singh. We're taking a very, very short break. We'll be back. Our coverage continues, expecting more updates to come in from the government right through this evening here on Primetime. Stay with India Today. Our coverage continues.